Regulatory Commission on what he had to say about, the subsidy on electricity tariff.
Is expected to be passed on to the consumers. So in electricity, the value chain has three key players. Okay, there's generation companies, and of which we have two types largely: thermal and hydro. We have transmission company. So most of the generation in Nigeria, the gas-based generation, is south-south. People in Kano, Kaduna have to get power. So you have your big pylons that you see on the highway, that's owned by the transmission company of Nigeria. And then you have distribution companies that effectively say, okay, when power has gotten to Abuja, right? So the big substation in Abuja is, there's one in Apo, right? To get the power from Apo to your house in Garki, to your house in Wuse, and so on and so forth, there's, smaller lines that are required to actually achieve that.
Right.
Okay? Now, the cost of all of these three players is what makes up the cost reflective tariff. So as we speak today, the cost effective tariff is over 200 naira. The interesting thing is that out of that 200 naira, more than 60%, a shade over 60%, is actually cost of generation. And I can speak to some of the reasons why that is the case further on. Then you have about 10% or so that belongs to transmission, and then the balance 20-something percent is to distribution. So what you have in the sector today is a tariff is about 200 plus naira. What is being charged is just over 60. Okay?
Right.
What the government has decided is that since there's the bulk trading company, so NBET, which is the company that buys all the power from the generating companies before selling to the distribution companies, what was agreed was that at any point where there is a shortfall, i.e. subsidy, what would happen is that the remittance obligation of the discos to NBET will be modulated downwards. Meaning, for example, if we got, so I think there was a month.
So whose advantage exactly? I mean, this technicality.
Okay.
So the consumer,
to the advantage.
all the consumer wants to know is what exactly is NERC, the regulator, doing to ensure that we're not paying for darkness, that Nigerians are not paying for darkness, because that seems to be the case in the last number of weeks.
No, so that's a good point. I mean, and we had an incident recently. But I think the ultimate beneficiary of the subsidy is the consumer. Because when NERC does its job of determining what is the cost reflective tariff, that tariff can be recovered in only two ways. There are only two ways anywhere in the world. It's either the consumer pays or the government pays. And I think government paying is actually not a novel thing to Nigeria. I think we all recall during the peak of the COVID crisis, even in the United Kingdom, right? They lost control of the pricing mechanism for the electricity sector. So government then said, you know what? There's a price cap. Anything above the cap,
Okay, listening to that particular statement, that was, Ali Yusuf Ali from the NERC speaking on this. Of course, we expect him to give more explanation and also talk about his own support with this particular development. But let's get to hear the varying opinion, and this one is from Uket Obanga, the National Secretary at the Nigerian Electricity Consumers Advocacy Network, and what he says about this.
In the next one, you have three components: generation, transmission, and distribution. Now, the other two in the value chain, transmission and distribution, don't have the capacity to convey load. The so-called 5 or 6 million metered customers. Then you have a huge unmetered customer population, over 7 million plus. And you have not done anything. The meter is a revenue assurance tool that measures electricity consumed and electricity supplied. So if you have, say, 100% metering, you have solved the problem of what? Liquidity in the market. We are not talking about the neck is running around the problem. Each time there is any slight this thing in the naira is not stable against the dollar.
All right. This message was made by Uket Obanga, who is the National Secretary of Nigerian Electricity Consumers Advocacy Network, and he's saying that increased tariffs will not solve any problem. And come next year, we'll be talking about another price increase because the need for isn't done. And he's a pro supporter of total metering. That's pretty much what he's trying to say. Well, we'll flesh out some of these details in a bit. We'll be joined by El-Rufai Hussaini in just a bit. Do stay with us. My name is Gesere.
And I am Simeon Sunday. Good morning.
We bring you all the big stories and what's behind them. Politics, business, sports, news, all on VOP 96.1 FM. Now you have a voice.
3 minutes behind schedule. So real quickly, I know you guys are talking about the power supply and the band thing. So there are two questions I'd like to ask. Because you are now seeing a lot of fight between the discos and the NERC. The discos, what they are defining as their band A is different from what the NERC has defined as band A. And the question has to be said, what was the peer review? Who carried each other along when they were trying to craft out the process? Number two, can the discos be bold enough to be able to sign a performance bond with their customers that if I don't give you 20 hours per day, you shouldn't pay the new tariff?
Exactly.
That's just it. I think that's going to be the general solution to the problem. Because, you see, we keep forgetting the fact that diesel is a fixed cost. So the analogy of the fact that once you have to pay this new tariff, things will get to where you don't need your generator again is a lie. Diesel is a constant fixed cost because you don't have the power infrastructure. You don't have transmitters, proper feeders in most systems. You don't even have a proper grid system. That's why it's always collapsing that Siemens was about to revamp for us before I don't know what happened to the deal. So that's only the direction. And the government should be able to step in here because of the companies and the manufacturing. Because I also asked the question for Dr. Musli Hussaini yesterday. I said, what was the empirical study as regards the impact of inflation on this process? He couldn't answer. So I think these are the arguments here.
But there are also reports that we've seen where some have said some band members who are lesser than band A have now been upgraded to band A at the moment. And even AEDC, that is Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, came out yesterday to put out an official statement apologizing to those who they've wrongly reclassified as band A, whereas they are band B. Looking at all these errors, shouldn't they have fixed this before even coming on to, put this into effect?
So that's why they should go back to their drawing table, because obviously they didn't think properly, and we have seen the loopholes, and we already itemized the loopholes. There must be at first a peer review. So there was no peer review. It was obvious. There was no peer review. That's why all this shenanigans is happening. And the NERC as the regulator should stand firm. But also, the NERC is limited. The other day, the NERC were talking about how they went to pull out a directorship or directors from a certain disco, and the court stopped them and said you don't have those powers. So there too, I beg, it's a case of yam pepper scatter, like Jaguar will say. It's popular comedian short and you're on.
All right. Yesterday, Simeon and I did a little bit of an experiment. We bought 1,000 naira worth of electricity.
If I ask Rufai how much, Rufai, please, how much did you try buying power during this period in the past 24 hours? Did you try it?
I buy power in advance.
Okay, that's not finished.
Yeah. I mean, so I buy a lot of bulk power in advance.
Okay.
So
we were experimenting yesterday to see the cost of power, and we just decided to try 1,000 naira to buy power, and we were just giving.
And they gave you 3 units, Abby.
4.1 units, my brother. 4.1 units. Gessie was going crazy yesterday as we experimented on that.
It's about to go down.
Oh my!
Hello,
Rufai, are you there? Okay, apologies, Rufai. If you can hear us, the network has started acting up. We apologize for that. We'll try to reconnect with you in a bit, and hopefully we get to hear this particular one, because it wasn't funny yesterday seeing that 1,000 naira is now 4.1 units.
And then it's really confusing. Are you also band A? Because I mean, it was for your house, right?
My dear,
so are you
at this
also
point,
part
I am
of band
confused.
A?
I don't even know if I'm band A or if I'm band B.
Hello, can you hear?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello, Gassi?
We can hear you. Can you hear me? Wow. All right. Network seems to be malfunctioning. We'll try another channel to reach Rufai. But at this point, you begin to ask yourself questions. There's so much discrepancy between who has been defined as Band A, Band B, Band C. And some people have, jokingly said, okay, it's like I'm Band Z because I don't ever get light, but I'm being charged for it. So maybe they should come up with a holistic definition as to who Band A is and who Band B is. All right, welcome back.
Okay, we're saying, yeah.
Yes, we were talking about the fact that we bought electricity and it was 4.1.
I mean, that's the sad reality, sir. There's a hike in the price already. I'm not sure as the general, but so they recalibrated their.
But then again, we're quite confused. Is it just Band A people that are going to get this price increment? Because you can't tell me a Simeon is 20 to 24 hours, power supply, and he's also getting a hike as well.
So that might be a system malfunction where from the buying unit, they just prorated the system across board. But those are the complaints. I think what NERC should also do is that open a complaint so that we can all complain and start. Okay, I don't do any challenges. Let's not do ourselves.
As much as this is expected, Mr. Rufai, before we move on to that one, because this is the major problem now for most people in Nigeria. We've seen the statement by NEF, the Director of Public Advocacy, that's Northern Elders Forum, saying this is a very reckless move. Are you also of this particular opinion, especially considering other indices, things affecting us as a nation?
What did you say?
Hello, can you hear us? Hello?
I can hear.
Okay, I said the Northern Elders Forum Director of Publicity, Abdulaziz, said this move is not timely at all as it is reckless, according to him. Do you also of the same opinion?
Yeah.
Yeah, hello.
All right. It seems like there's some issue with this particular network. I don't know what's going on, but regular calls and WhatsApp seem to be failing today. I don't know. Maybe they don't have electricity in there. In the places where they operate from. Anyway, we're trying to reach back to Rufai Sani so we can have this conversation. It's really important that we understand the way forward for Nigerians at a time where Nigerians are facing multiple issues. You have food inflation, you have oil as well, you have oil going up, you have so many things that are being collected. Education subsidy also has been taken off. So is this the perfect time for this particular move from the government? You're welcome back, Mr. Rufai.
Hello, hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh.
Wow.
This I would have called out the NERC, but this one is not their forte. It's the NCC. Please, I think network providers need to do better when it comes to communication network in the country. But while we try to reconnect with Rufai Sani in a bit, let's also check out some other headlines. But when he comes back, he will just give his rounding statement on that particular development. And on the cable this morning, it seems like the government of Kano State have decided to take the dollar video seriously. As according to the headline, it says dollar video. Kano files 8-count charge against Ganduje for receiving $200,000 from contractor. Well, that is the headline on the cable this morning. There are other similar headlines as well across board, but let's only check out some of the details from the cable. And according to the report, it says the Kano government. Okay, we have him back on.
Hello?
Yes, welcome back.
Yeah, good. Yeah, as you're saying.
You were making your rounding statement based on, the statement of NEF, Northern Elders Forum.
I said before, because that's the sad reality now. Do you think that this will help in no way to be able to cushion the effect of the suffering like that? It's going to increase the suffering now. And we all know that.
But why exactly is the government making these series of moves? Just yanking off the rug, pulling the rug from under Nigerians, all at the same time. Why are we seeing multiple subsidy removals, at this point? When
the government will claim they don't have money and all of that, and you need to create buffers. for government spending and things like that. But the government also needs to be circumspect as regards the plight of the people. That's what I keep saying.
Okay.
So
Let's talk about...
not because they don't have money.
Okay, before we let you go, because I know you will need to go in a bit, so let's talk about Ganduje, where the Kano State government has now filed an 8-count charge against him for collecting $200,000 allegedly from a contractor. This has been, some of this filing have been cited by multiple newspaper platforms as at last night. Now, looking at this development, we thought, Abiy Kabir wouldn't take this seriously or he wouldn't push further. But it seems like it is now a case for the government of Kano State.
I mean, we saw this coming. We knew the fight wasn't over between both parties. But also, I'd like to support the Kano State government. We need to be accountable. I mean, a lot of people, saw things that they thought we should question. And that's why it's good for them to test it out in the court. Let's see how the process goes. Some people will say political. I don't think it's about political vendetta. I think it's about justice.
Are we sure it isn't, political vendetta? Because we saw the
I don't think it's about political. I don't think it's about political vendetta. I think it's just a clear need for justice to be able to take its course. And in a sane society, if you have, representations like that happening, and you don't ask questions, and you don't test things out in court, and you don't get anything out of society.
Okay.
All right.
I don't want to speak. You can see I'm skirting around the real subject because since the filing has gone, I think the case is already sub judice. So I don't want to speak on the fundamentals and the dynamics of that, but it's also best to test it out in court.
Okay. All right, so we have the military releasing names of killed Boko Haram commanders, and that's the DHQ on Thursday. They released the names of terrorist kingpins that were killed during different operations in the northern part of the country. Now we're seeing the DHQ coming out to say how many individuals they've killed, how many terrorists that they've apprehended, how many suspects they've gathered together. They reeled out quite a huge number of individuals that have been one way or the other fingered in terrorism. But the point is, how far have we gone in eradicating, and is complete eradication even possible of these terrorists and bandits? Is it even possible?
So to a large extent, you can have a considerable level of eradication where splinter heads and units and finances are decimated and it becomes not fashionable again to be a bandit. You can. But it has to be done systematically and over a period of time. And I don't think we are putting in that systematic planning enough. That's just what I think. And I think it has to be done diligently and quickly because this has first started over 10 years. If we had started the systematic planning early enough, I think we should be at the stage of making it not fashionable. Because with the prevailing situation, there's an ecosystem for recruitment of all these criminals. So until we make it more fashionable, when we stamp our foot on the ground, then nothing happens. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Before you tell us you need to go, let's tell you thank you for being a part of the show this morning.
Thank you guys, I appreciate you. Sometimes I wish I could stay longer, but there are many factors that wouldn't allow me. But I'd like to appreciate you guys for all the great work you do. Morning, and all of our listeners here and everybody in general, and thank you so much, and we can only have a great time together. And please, everybody out there, come on board. We're bringing a new proposition on the radio ecosystem in Abuja, and thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you all. Thank you for your service, and to me. Yeah.
All right, have a good weekend.
Okay, thank you so much. I think I said today is a good day. It's Friday. It's a lesser version of the morning drill. For the first time, Rufai got my name correctly. So I should give him kudos. I think to say I need to send prayers to his email address. I'm already used to him calling me Simon. But it's a great one. We quickly go on a break, and when we come back, we'll be having our conversation with Larry Ogwegu, who is on standby at the moment. Stay with us.
Is the spice of our station.
Voice of the People, 96.1 FM, Abuja. Now, you have a voice.
Are you aware that Iruka Online Limited installed and designed a 100,000 capacity church building? Oh yeah, we are the sole distributors of global leading brands all over the world, such as Wafday Line Array, speakers and digital amplifiers, Preseno's digital mixers and studio equipment, Coswell workstations and keyboards, Fender guitars, Mapex drums, Ashdown bass combos, just to mention but a few. We offer flexible payment plan handled by our financial department with 24/7 customer care support system. You can visit our website on www.iruka.com to avoid buying fake products. You can also visit our showroom at number 36 Lagos International Airport Road beside Golden Tulip Hotel. Iruka, never settle for less.
Are you traveling to Lagos and desire a perfect getaway?
Look no further than the luxurious accommodations at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, number 42 Murtala Mohammed International Road, Lagos.
Relax and unwind in our beautiful appointed rooms, featuring all the amenities you need for a comfortable stay.
Now, whether you are traveling for business or pleasure, our attentive staff is here to ensure that your every need is met. We also offer complimentary pickup and drop from the Lagos airport.
Why not take advantage of our state-of-the-art fitness center, outdoor pool, and enjoy a delicious meal at our on-site restaurant?
With stunning views, world-class service, and a prime location, Airport Golden Tulip Hotel is the perfect choice for your next vacation or business trip.
So why wait? Book your stay today and experience the ultimate in comfort and luxury at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel.
For bookings and reservations, please call 0815-8003-333 or 0815-7003-333. You can visit our website at airportgoldentuliphotel.com.
Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, where luxury meets comfort.
Believe me, it got to be you.
Happy Easter! This month of Easter, advertise with VOP 96.1 FM.
Come on!
Spend 100,000 naira on adverts and get 10 slots of jingles for free. So, call Sal on 0817 992 9729 for more information.
Yeah!
Happy Easter!
As a sharp business owner, you know you need to advertise your business, right? You need the adverts. So, what better platform to advertise than with VOP 96.1 FM? Our rates are friendly, our reach extensive. Take that bold step and advertise that business today. Give us a call on 081 799 29729 or visit our office at number 4 Ogbomosho Street, Romeo's Pizza Building, Area 8, Abuja. See ya!
Do you like what we do? Want to see some more of us? Head over and meet us on YouTube, Insta, and Twitter. At Voice of the People 96.1 FM. Share us on your socials. Tell everyone. Send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Follow us at Voice of the People 96.1 FM. See ya.
This is VOP 96.1 FM, Abuja. Our names are Guest C and Simeon Sunday. Remember, we are streaming live on YouTube. Just get on there, that platform, and find us, Voice of the People Abuja. Subscribe to the page, like, as well as drop your reactions to any of the conversation we're having this morning right here on the show. Of course, we've been joined by Larry Ogwego. Good morning to you, Larry.
Good morning.
Great to have you on the show this morning.
It's my pleasure.
Okay, this is me. Since it's Friday, we don't want to be that heavy,
serious.
That serious. But I guess you mentioned that you said our fans are complaining that the stream wasn't on. Tell them to come on YouTube, okay?
Okay. So I guess I will have to send out that message to them.
Okay, let's get straight to the subject for today.
All right. I mean, we would be remiss to not talk about the electricity tariff issue. I just want to get your 2 cents on it. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of discrepancies as to who is within the band A and who isn't. Rightly, yesterday we bought some credits, and what we saw was very staggering. The number wasn't funny at all. I mean, we saw a tweet yesterday where this individual said he bought 98,000 naira worth of electricity the night before. And as at yesterday morning, when this particular news of 250% hike, when it came out, his light was finished. 98,000 naira the night before, and then in the morning it was completely gone. So in this particular situation, what exactly is your take on it?
I think it's good that they defined what they mean by band A and all of that. In theory, it sounds good. I mean, I love the calculation about the fact that if you give me power for more than 20 hours a day, I'll save on diesel or petrol. If I can get power more than 20 hours a day, I'll probably agree to a high price hike, not necessarily to 50%. But yes, I welcome a price hike if I'm sure I'll get power more than 20 hours a day. I'll personally agree to a price hike if I need power. The reason is simple. If I have to buy diesel, petrol, and maintain generators, I'll probably spend more. But the catch is that you don't get the power for 20 hours or more. As a matter of fact, since this band A thing came out, I've decided that I'll personally go and check whether they are billing me as band A, both for office and home. And if they are, I will protest because I don't get power anywhere near band B. So I won't agree if they do the band A thing. And that's simply what I'm telling Nigerians to do. We need to become scientific about these things. See how you can estimate the power that you have. Because it's not rocket science to check the power. I mean, if it's band A, over a period of 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, statistics know they lie. Science doesn't lie. We cannot present the statistics and say, I am not qualified to be band A. It's not about feeder or no feeder. I don't care what the feeder tells you or what. I mean, if you listen to the news, you realize that the discos actually calculated 1,000 plus feeders, and then NEC reduced it drastically to about 400 and something, and then the conversation goes on, which means that if that 1,000 plus was allowed, so many of us would have jumped into band A when we are not anywhere near band B or C. So I think people should check what they actually get. So if they are not band A, we should complain to NEC. Me, I will personally complain. I'm already checking. And I will go and get power just for the sake of checking whether they will print whether I'm band A, like they said, or B on the receipt. If they don't print it, I will alert them. If they do, I will start checking, especially if it's that band A that will cost me money. In fact, I don't need to check. I know that I don't belong to any band A now. But I will still check so that I have records. And I think it's something that everybody should do, so that if you are not in band A and being billed as band A, you raise alarm.
All right.
I think that's it. But on paper, it looks good. What I mean is, if they can guarantee that they will give 20 hours and above, and then there's an increment, it looks good on paper. The only problem is that we will abuse it. That is one thing I'm sure of, because people who don't even have power at all may find themselves in band A.
All right, Mr. Larry, just for posterity's sake, is a price hike even sustainable at this point? Because we don't want a situation where, because we saw last year, we saw an increment, I think up to 3 times on the tariff, right? We saw at least 3 different times where NERC would come out to say, okay, there's been an increment of maybe 15% or 10% or whatever. And now we're seeing this exponential jump, right? So the question now is, this price hike, is it a solution, a permanent solution to this problem of electricity in our country?
I think one of the permanent solutions we should be thinking about as a country is to meter consumers. I don't understand what happens to us as a nation, because we woke up one day, encourage people to invest in metering plants. Nigerians invested fortunes to assemble, if not manufacture, at least assemble meters in Nigeria. And then the last time I checked, they had backlog of hundreds of thousands of meters, and nobody was patronizing them. We still prefer to import from China and wherever. And then we still even refuse to meter people, because a lot of discos fleece consumers through what they call estimated billing. Until we actually give these meters out, install them, so that we can collect the money, at least the one that we are supposed to be entitled to, that, I mean, the discos, they should be able to collect. You see, when you say band A, band B, or whatever, and you increase tariff, go and collect the tariff. Now, you cannot be increasing tariff on estimated billing. This tariff that we are talking about, how many persons are captured actually? I mean, what percentage of consumers are captured? And I think that's where we should start. I think we deliberately sabotage our institutions, because corruption thrives in chaos. Corruption thrives in chaos. Where there is no order, corruption thrives. And that is why you see people, easily bypassing meters, doing all kinds of things, because there is a lot of corruption mindset in the power sector. I don't want to, I didn't want to go there, but I'm aware that there are some places inside FCT where educated Nigerians actually bypass their meter in the night and then put it back in the morning. So, and they do it in collusion with the staff of the disco. I know, because I was involved in a case that emanated from that kind of incident, and I was shocked that these Nigerians who are very educated live in a decent pattern, and they told me, oh, everybody does it in this neighborhood. In fact, it's done with the collusion of the staff. So we have fundamental problems. Can this problem be solved? Yes. How? If you have a bulk meter installed at the transformer, you can easily check if there's any bypass. So you find out that the people that work for these companies are actually interested in getting rich at the expense of the employer. And then the people who enjoy the electricity are actually interested in getting free electricity. So I think we should clean up the system. The solution is not price hike, because no matter how much you hike the prices, if you don't create some kind of sanity, some kind of order, the electricity sector won't work. It's not working. Just mere price hike won't make it work. We have fundamental problems. There's no metering. There's a lot of corruption, and we are not just telling ourselves the truth. The consumers are totally upset with what is happening. The discos are complaining. Just about everybody is complaining. We have grid failures ever so often. And then you are talking about price hike. So we always look at the money end. We want to ask people to pay more money without looking at the quality of services we are rendering to them. So I think this is not the solution. The fundamental solution is to clean up the industry. Number one, install meters. The meters are here in Nigeria. I mean, if we are wasting money subsidizing input all kinds of activities that don't make sense, including the lifestyle of the political elites, why can't we just have a budget and provide meters? The problem is that they don't want to provide the meters because they are feeding fat on estimated billing, and that's not right. So I think they should go to the foundation of the problem and begin to solve the problem from the foundation. If not, even if they triple the tariff for everybody, not just band A, it still won't work. Because people will steal the power, resist the payment, sabotage the system. But when you give us power, if I know that I'm enjoying improved power, I will naturally want to protect the system that gives me that power. Especially if you install a meter and ask me to pay a fair bill, I will naturally protect it because I want the power. But when you fleece me in the name of reforms, then a lot of people will want to fight back in a manner that may be unethical, and what you have is more chaos. So I don't think that's the problem. I think they should stop this idea of using the easiest route when there's a problem. They should look at the big picture and then create solutions that work.
Okay, let's move away from that and let's talk about Rivers State for a bit. It seems like Rivers State have been in the news lately, and on the Punch newspaper it talks about the APC, alleging that Fubara is now seeking illegal court order to remove pro-Wike lawmakers. The Rivers State chapter of the APC on Thursday alleged that Governor Siminalayi Fubara was plotting to use the court to declare the State House of Assembly illegal. And the claim by the opposition party came amid the renewed impeachment threat against Fubara by about 27 members of the assembly loyal to ex-governor Nyesom Wike. Looking at the drama in Rivers State at the moment, at the end of the day, when will we see the end of all of this? The impeachment notices, the impeachment threats, also threats on the part of the House of Assembly members thinking Fubara is going to go to court, to get them out.
Basically, this is like a boxing contest. When they come into the ring, the first thing they do is do some sparring, throw some shadow punches. They're basically prancing around in the ring and then checking how to engage. Initially they engage in a small fisticuff, and that fisticuff caused the Rivers people, the House of Assembly, some unrest, riots here and there, demonstrations, people arrested. That was the first engagement in the boxing ring, but it didn't last long. Now they are sparring again. They are running up and down and throwing shadow punches and checking how to do the next big duel. I think these guys that are alleging that is going to court to get court orders to stop them from the House of Assembly from sitting and all of that. They are just, as far as I'm concerned, they're stoking the fire. If you know that it's going to court, if he's filing an ex parte motion, then take steps to frustrate that if you think it's wrong. If he's filing a motion or not, if he's going to serve you to tell you come to court, you prepare to go to court. I think they are attracting the wrong kind of attention to Rivers. I think this is the time for every state in Nigeria to compete for investment attention, because we also have Nigerian investors who make choices about where to invest in Nigeria. And people are now thinking about electricity as a major factor in locating mega businesses. And Rivers has the advantage that they have gas, which means that heavy industries can be sited in Rivers. And of course, they have a port. This is the time Rivers should be positioning itself to be the darling of the Nigerian investors and foreign investors. But they are spending the time fighting, basically because the political elites are selfish. The politicians are not just the political elites, even the ordinary politicians, they are all jostling for position and power. How is it going to end? Well, I'm waiting for them to finish dancing around in the ring, engage in the big fight. So one person will be knocked out, and then we'll have some peace. Ultimately, that's what is going to happen. They don't want to really engage. They are doing everything but fights. So there's this kind of suspended animation. That is, you are not resting, you are not fighting. But I think they need to get to that point where they either resolve this thing peacefully or do whatever they have to do so that Rivers will heal and they make progress. This is not good for Rivers State, and it's not good for Nigeria. It's not good for Rivers State, and it's not good for Nigeria. They are making us look very bad. I mean, not just bad, very, very bad. It's a recurring decimal, but this is not a good one, considering that the Wike, who is a major factor in this whole thing, is at Abuja presently, holding a position that puts him out there. He doesn't really realize that this will even affect the perception of Nigerians and foreign investors about investing or doing business with him as a person, as a minister at Abuja. These are things they should be thinking about. Sadly, they are not. We just hope that they will resolve this quickly, either through peaceful negotiations or they should engage in the ring fight. One person will be knocked out and then we can move on. They should stop distracting us.
All right. On the international scene, we're seeing the UK increasing their minimum wage for immigrants by 48%. That means that skilled worker visa would be 26,200 pounds. It was 26,200 pounds. Rather, now it's going to be 38,700 pounds. This is for skilled workers, individuals arriving in the UK with skilled workers visa. And basically, what this means is that companies in the UK will be deterred because of cheap labor. I mean, when you have immigrants coming in, you want to pay them cheaper, and then you don't get to hire the Britons, right? So now they're going to be deterred, because when you have a minimum wage that is higher than you initially proposed you were going to spend, you'll be forced rather to work with the British and to work with Britain workers. So what exactly is that going to look like for a lot of Nigerians who are thinking to leave the country and jackpot?
Well, what it looks like is that average skill won't cut it anymore. If you are going to immigrate, you are going to be very skilled. You're going to immigrate on the basis of special skill. I mean, your skill has to be so good that they will go over the Britain to employ you. So a situation where you just jump up and immigrate because you're going to offer cheap labor won't cut it anymore. And that also brings me to the fact that if we want to japa, we shouldn't japa on the basis of being just laborers and all of that. One of the things that helped India and is still helping India is remittances from skilled workers abroad. They don't just go to do any kind of work for any kind of money. They dominate sectors that pay well: the medical sector, the ICT sector, the software development, offshore work, all kinds of high-tech jobs and high-skilled jobs. So I think if we want to export manpower from Nigeria, we should move from Japa to exporting manpower. Exporting manpower is different from Japa. The Japa person, if you know the real meaning of Japa, is about fleeing from a state of discomfort and all of that. You are just running away. But exporting manpower is like exporting products. That is, you are intentionally exporting skilled labor to go and acquire more skills and remit resources to your country. Not only remit resources, but also remit experience. In other words, come back with better experience. So I think we need to understand that considering the population of Nigeria and the state of our economy, we may not be able to take care of all of the people who may want to provide quality services here. There is nothing wrong with working abroad, but there's something wrong with the Japa concept, where people just run away, whether they're ready to make contributions or not. They are maltreated, they can't offer much, and they may not even be able to come back because they won't even have the resources to come back. If you look at the health sector in India, it was actually developed by Indians who came back from diaspora. Some of the biggest hospitals in the world are in India, and they're private hospitals, they're private institutions. A lot of their big teaching hospitals are private institutions, Aravind and so many of them. So I think we need to get to that point where we review our Japa concept and move it to exporting highly skilled labor. But before we export, we should produce enough for local consumption, then you export. So it doesn't affect what you're doing locally. I think while Britain may think they're helping themselves, they're also inadvertently helping us, because more of our skilled workers will stay here. But if they want to travel out, they have to work very hard. So if they're going to UK to get that level of skill that will enable them command the kind of money that the law says you have to pay in UK now.
Okay.
So it works for us if we're organized. It doesn't work for us if we still want to export cheap labor.
Okay. Now let's talk about the Binance executive. Videos, pictures have actually gone viral. I said yesterday when one of the executive was arraigned in court. And now looking at that particular development, a part of it says, detained Binance executive in court on Nigerian tax money laundering charges. And we've seen an update on that on the Punch this morning, which says EFCC stops service of charges on Binance chief FIRS alleges. So recently, the scheduled arraignment of the Binance executive, was stalled yesterday over a complaint that one of the executives had not been served with the charge sheet. And of course, counsel of the FIRS, who is now prosecuting the case, told the court that EFCC denied the court bailiff access to the detained Binance executive. So looking at this case, it was supposed to be in court yesterday. We saw a picture of the Binance executive in court, but it was stalled as a result of the excuse given by the FIRS prosecutor. The EFCC stopped them from, issuing the charge sheet to the defendant in this particular case. And one question that goes through my mind is, how many charges have been leveled against this man, and who is the prosecuting counsel in this case? Is it the FCC? Is it the FIRS? Is it the Nigerian government through all these agencies?
Sorry, I didn't get to hear the last part of your. I think it's a question.
The question is, in this case, with FIRS in the picture now, EFCC also in the picture. Now, the question we are asking is, who is now the prosecuting counsel in this case? Or is it that all the agencies of government are prosecuting? From what angle, they deem fit?
Well, all the agencies of government cannot prosecute them. EFCC is Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. So even if a company or a person evades tax, it's an economic crime. So the FIRS can and should submit evidence to EFCC. If Binance committed an economic crime, I think EFCC should prosecute. But then tax evasion in itself is also an offense that can be prosecuted. But what I think is that they should work together and have a stronger case. But one of the things we should also ask is, are we really organized in terms of collecting our taxes? Do we have a standard operating procedure for dealing with foreign companies that engage in soft businesses that don't have offices but are doing business in Nigeria? Do we have a standard operating procedure, or do we wait until there's a problem or something happens and we start pursuing them? Do we have a tax policy? Do we have VAT policy? How do we relate with them? Because the last time I checked, I don't think anybody has accused Binance of being, for instance, presented with certain positions which they didn't meet up with. It looks as if the government has been silent on creating a standard operating procedure for managing companies like Binance that do all their businesses virtually. And then the Binance was also silent. So Binance also could have asked, what are our obligations in Nigeria? But considering how Nigeria works, if you ask that question, the obligations they will give you will make you run away. So they decided to just watch. And then Nigeria was also watching, and that is wrong. We should have standard operating procedures for engaging different kinds of foreign and local businesses, so that people don't go in the dark. Because part of what brought us here is that there was no clear framework within which Binance was supposed to operate. If you go to United States to do any kind of business as simple as even introducing your app, whether it's TikTok or whatever, they have standard operating procedure. They watch you. They check whether it's going to sabotage their security, what is going to do to the elections. They check all of those things, and they watch everybody, not just TikTok. And so we need to begin to think ahead of situations. And then even if we don't think ahead, when things happen, we now learn lessons and document, because as we speak, nobody is even still thinking probably of standardizing procedures for such businesses to operate. So I think the takeaway from this situation is that we should standardize procedures for operation of such companies, foreign companies generally, but companies that don't have to have offices to operate. They're a peculiar breed. So how do you reach out to them and tell them, boss, if you must do business in our country, that's our standard operating procedure. You must register with the tax authorities. You must pay us VAT. You must do this. You must do that. We want to see your financial records. If you don't want to do that, don't bother about Nigeria. Have we done that now that the Binance Wahala is here? I don't think we have. So if FIRS wants to prosecute separately and the EFCC wants to do their own thing, it's not a bad idea, but I think they'll have a better case if they work together. One of the things we don't do well in Nigeria is institutional collaboration. We need to get to that point where they should compare records, work together, and have a more formidable front as they go against Binance. I don't have anything against Binance, but you see, if you do the crime, you do the time, or you do the fine. America is going to be richer by more than $4 billion because they did a powerful case, and the executive of the CEO of Binance actually decided to do his plea bargain and agree that we're going to pay more than $4 billion. So if we have a good case, Binance may also throw in some dollars. It's right now that Nigeria is struggling with the dollar matter. So for me, it's not a personal thing. I don't have anything against Binance, but I'm saying that if indeed laws were broken and we demonstrate that we have a good case, they're likely to settle. And if they settle, everybody will be happy.
Yes. Okay, let's move on, from that particular report. And let's talk about this one where Tinubu is now talking to this Global Alliance on Vaccine, which is known as Gavi. According to the headline on Nigerian Tribune, it says work with Nigerians to produce vaccines. Tinubu tells Gavi. President Tinubu has now urged Gavi, which is the Vaccine Alliance, to collaborate with potential Nigerian vaccine manufacturers to ensure equitable access to life-saving vaccines for children and adults. This is a great call, especially from the president, knowing what transpired in 2019-2020 Nigeria, where we literally had to heavily depend on vaccines from the West without, distributing or manufacturing any vaccine locally. And I remember during the time, it was during Muhammadu Buhari's administration, and he said that local researchers should come find a way to, create a vaccine. But it seems like after COVID-19, nothing has been said about any form of vaccine production locally from Nigeria. Is it that we don't have the researchers to find solutions to some of these health challenges we have? Or is it that more money is not being expended in research in the country? And another question is being asked, if we produce vaccine locally, will Nigerians want to take it? So all questions are being asked at this moment.
The problem we have in Nigeria is that we have this syndrome of one step back forward, two steps backward, sometimes even three backwards, because we had research institutes that did amazing work in Nigeria. We had the research institute at VOM, I think, in Plateau State, that were doing exploits concerning vaccines and such medications. We had institutions that were actually doing well in some of those areas. But because we looked away from funding what is supposed to be fundamental, all those institutions died. And, we don't take research seriously as a nation. You can quote me. As a matter of fact, we don't fund research. But then the small funding we commit to research, the academics, the lecturers, the professors see that as their extra income. Sorry that I'm putting it this way, but that's what it is. There are very few passionate academics in Nigeria that conduct research. Because they apply for research grants, sometimes from Tech Fund, they get the research grants. The quality of research and how the research outcome impacts society is yet to be ascertained. So we have deviated from research so much that we need to begin to sit down and reinvent that aspect of our national life. And we cannot reinvent it if we don't encourage people to become academics. And we can't encourage people to get into academic work if we don't treat our lecturers and professors and such persons well. So you can see how small mistakes become big problems. And we may not understand that it's a big problem until we realize that, an epidemic can wipe out a large population of Nigeria, because everything and anything happens to us now, we beg for international support and assistance. One of the things that is making India very relevant globally. In fact, at the time of this global COVID crisis, India had the single biggest vaccine production plant in the entire world. India, the same India that was at par with Nigeria just a few decades ago. And it's privately owned. It's not owned by government. And the man became one of the richest men in the world, producing vaccines for the whole world. So we need to rethink our priorities. We need to rethink our priorities. Our government believes so much in fixing roads, in fixing things that we see, building massive structures. I want to build a new government house with 30 billion. I want to do this road and put street lights. I want to put malls along the highway. And you are not considering whether people can move on the highway for insecurity. You are not considering whether they are healthy enough to even travel. So we need to teach people to understand that development is not only physical. As a matter of fact, I can say authoritatively that the most important forms of development are not physical. What drives national productivity and development is not, they are mental, they're not physical. It's when you graduate from the school of mental development that you get into the school of physical development successfully. If you jump that gun, you're just going to go around in circles. And so I think we need to go beyond making calls. We need to ask ourselves, who will fund research? State fund is their friend, but companies should also fund research. For instance, in advanced countries, pharmaceutical companies fund pharmaceutical research. Different kinds of companies, tech companies fund tech research. We need to grow a culture of funding research in Nigeria. But for you to fund research, you have to have researchers who are sincere. So if you give them £1 billion for research, they don't go and build a house before they start research. They do research. They focus on research. They have a passion for research. And so we have a whole lot of problems in that area. Making calls won't stop it. We have to reinvent that whole sector. And it's not going to be an easy task because we have to also treat people who take research work seriously. We're starting from our lecturers if we're going to get that off the ground.
Okay, anyway, thank you so much, Mr. Larry, for this particular, statement you've dropped on this issue. It's been an awesome time talking with you this morning.
Yeah, and when we have these conversations, they just sound like mere conversations. But if our leaders are smart, they should listen to the voice of the people, because very often we don't just complain, we also offer solutions and the way forward. Thanks to the voice of the people, Abuja, for the great work that you're doing.
All right, thank you so much, and have yourself a lovely weekend.
And enjoy.
And you too. And enjoy responsibly. Enjoy responsibly. That's what they tell us.
Larry, I said enjoy on our account.
Whose account?
Our account.
That's not a bad idea. I have to send you. That sounds good to me. I'll take you up on that offer. And guess you don't run away. Yes, I don't want to say anything. But why are you running now? I will never even start the discussion. You're running.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great morning.
Have a wonderful weekend.
And you too. Okay, this has been Front Page Review right here on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. Interesting conversation. Remember, we have these conversations week in, week out right here. And, probably on Monday, we'll get to start the Front Page Review earlier as opposed to, the 7:15 that we always run. We'll start at 7 o'clock so we have a more robust conversation with you. Okay, thank you for being a part of the show. And if you've missed out on any of the episodes of the show, go straight on YouTube and stream previous editions. Remember to like and subscribe to our page, and as well drop your comments.
All right, thank you so much. This has been the Front Page Review on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. My name is Gesire.
I am Simeon Sunday.
Coming up at 8:30.